A very good afternoon to you who are out there. Welcome to this live program, your weekly program where you sit back and listen to news, listen to topical issues. Your #1 program in Berbice, in perspective. As you know that this is a weekly program where you call in, make your proposal, make your suggestion, and also, as I said, that I will be inviting from time to time guests that will be coming to Berbice so that we can have a discussion what is taking place in the country. With me here this afternoon is a young person who hails from Berbice, but right across the river. He has a lot of knowledge in the agriculture sector. He was one time the PS in the Ministry of Agriculture, and today he is a member of Parliament, Mr. Nigel Dharamlall. Mr. Dharamlall, welcome to this program.
Thank you.
And I hope that we will have a discussion and we will be taking concern of residents in Region 5 and 6.
Right.
Over the last week, we have noticed the salary increase is the major topic on everyone's mind. We have been seeing a lot of issues taking place in the country where people are raising concern. People are talking about what this salary increase really means to the economy of our country. Because, as you know, when the budget was passed in the National Assembly, the Honorable Minister of Finance said that the Treasury was empty and they were unable to pay an increase that they promised in their 100-day plans. And that was a 20% increase, a substantial increase as it deemed it, for public servants. And when the budget was presented in the National Assembly, he proposes a 5% increase plus a $5,000, and those who work in below $50,000 at that time are below $100,000. And lo and behold, the matter of salary increase was raised in the National Assembly, and I think a newspaper raised that issue, and we had almost all the government ministers. They stood up and they said that they will not increase salary. And lo and behold, after 3 weeks of the passage of the budget, we have seen a hefty increase of these ministers. And they are in office for only about 5 months now. But this increase is not from October, but it's gone back retroactively to July the 1st. As a young MP in the National Assembly, I know for a fact that you have made your contribution in the budget debate, and you raise a number of issues facing young people. You raise a number of issues that you felt that can help to enhance the role of young people in our society. As a young person who was in government and as a young professional, what is your view on this major issue, the salary increase?
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Mustafa, and I'm happy to be on your program in perspective. I'm also happy to say good afternoon to the residents of Regions 5 and 6. It is always a pleasure for the People's Progressive Party and their leaders to participate with residents in Berbice, as we are doing in the rest of the country. Insofar as the salary increase that the government, or the installed government as I usually describe them, that they have paid on to themselves, after 6 weeks, we have seen the movement where this government has refused to consult, to collaborate, and to even engender a spirit of belonging to the people of Guyana. And I say this because when the coalition took office, or even prior to the coalition taking office, they had these grand monumental plans, very noble plans for the development of Guyana. And the only thing that I've seen them do since they've taken office is to pay themselves. I recall sometime in August, whilst we were discussing the budget, and thereafter, the Honorable Minister of Governance, Mr. Trotman, saying quite unequivocally in the press that the government is not going to raise the salaries of the ministers. And that came about as a result of a leak from the government into the mainstream media, and it was published in newspapers that salary increases were touching 50+%. Then, lo and behold, sometime in September, there was an extraordinary official gazette that was published, and the salary increases were detailed in them. One of the things I think our viewers need to understand, and I happen to have worked in the government for a very long time, is that when the PPP was in power and the ministers were in office, there was a hue and cry from the then opposition, and especially Mr. Nagamutu and Mr. Ramjatan from the AFC, that the PPP ministers were fat cats.
Just, Nigel, just let us, we will deal with the fat cats issue, but let us deal with this as a former PS in the previous government. Whenever there normally be a salary increase during the previous government, and the Minister of Finance goes to the Parliament and announces this increase, I know for a fact that normally increases used to be announced for public servants and also members of the government.
Very right.
And then those things used to normally be gazetted and made public. But this time, I think that the gazetted information was done in secrecy because you never heard of anybody saying about this increase until we in the PPP found out that this thing.
Well, there is a classic description of it. You know, when thieves go in the night to rob people, there's a description called cloak and dagger. And I think that is how the government has gone into the treasury of Guyana. They have gone like thieves into the treasury. First, they created a scenario that there was no money in the government, that when the PPP left office, the country was bankrupt. But the government has been moving programs successfully over the past 5 months.
Right.
Spending, sorry, not moving programs, but spending. And one of the big things they have done is to enrich themselves. The salary increases that they've paid onto themselves, we now have a cabinet of 27.
Including the Prime Minister?
Including the Prime Minister, yes. The Prime Minister only last week said that the salary increases were necessary, and he made some flimsy, frivolous excuse that there was an anomaly with the payment, with the salary of the Attorney General, and the Prime Minister needed to earn way more than the Attorney General. So he has taken it upon himself to ensure that the cabinet increase the salary of his office. And so that is how the effect took place. Then Mr. Harman went and said in the media after the salaries were disclosed that he had no apologies for it. Then the President himself said recently that the salaries are important because these are quality people in the government. So I am bewildered that after 6 weeks, we have seen nothing in this country. After 5 months, we have seen nothing going forward. What we have seen is a total decline in the economic growth of Guyana. We have seen high-level racism. We have seen high-level political discrimination. We have seen a monumental increase in crime. And these are the quality people who our budget will now have to pay. Public servants, farmers, sugar workers, all these people who pay taxes. Their monies now are going to be paying Mr. Granger in excess of $2.5 million per month, which is, he is now the highest paid president ever in Guyana. And his pension is going to be, if he demits office tomorrow morning, way more than any of our previous presidents. Mr. Nagamutu, the Prime Minister, his salary is higher than what Prime Minister Samuel Hines used to have. The Attorney General's salary is more than what Minister Dharamlall used to have. The Vice Presidents now earn, I think it's $1,100,000. Yeah, almost $1.2 million per month. The senior ministers of government, the PPP ministers of government used to earn $579,000 per month. Now a senior minister of government earns close to $1 million per month. The creation of junior ministers, they now earn nearly $700,000 or just over $700,000 per month. This is just salary. Ministers are usually paid allowances, other fringe benefits, security, gardener, they're fully medical, they're fully taken care of, all ministers, the entire cabinet. So from our calculation, we have found that this new cabinet has become so burdensome to our people that the difference between what we were paying our ministers and what they are paying their ministers now is almost $130 million per year just in salary.
Just let's get back just before the election, during the campaign, and you was talking just now about some insinuation that was made by certain people. But first of all, the reason for the salary increase, many members of the cabinet, you had Mr. Harman, Mr. Trotman, Mr. Jordan, Mr. Nagamutu, the president himself, and other ministers within the cabinet. They gave reason why the salary should salary should increase. But every one of them gave different reasons. You mentioned that the president talked about quality. Trotman talked about trust. Harman said he don't have any apologies to make, that they paying the people well not to steal. Right? That was his exact word. Mr. Jordan said that the salary was necessary to differentiate between junior, senior, and minister and vice presidents. Right? So you have different reasons being advanced by these guys by saying about why they increase the salaries. But if you look at logics, if you are picking a person to be in one of the highest office, or one of the office that you felt that this person can perform, and you know for a fact that you advanced during the campaign, that look, the PPP's minister used to receive a fat salary, then why you will go and increase the salary just to say that this person would not steal? That means you fully well know that this person was stealing before, and you pick him or her to go in the cabinet, and now you have to give him or her more money just not to make him or her steal.
I think it's a conspiracy in the government. The fact that they have raised the salaries to enrich themselves, it is really a camouflage that when in fact they become corrupt or more corrupt than they are, that they have already been receiving a super salary. So when they decide to invest, then from gains that are ill-gotten gains, then they can always use this excuse that their salary is already double.
What's your view on the fat cat story?
Well, I have a taped conversation that, well, as a matter of fact, I've seen a video that Mr. Nagamutu, when he was campaigning, stating that when he was with President Chedi, that he was chairing the cabinet then, which we all know that is not true, and that he had refused a salary increase until nurses and teachers and police and so forth really got a substantial increase. But now Mr. Nagamutu earns more than $1.7 million per month.
Basic salaries?
Yes. That is outside of allowances, and allowances can be almost double of what your salary is. And teachers and nurses, these noble people, the military, the police, the fire service, these are people who run the utilities, teach our children, take care of our health. And these are the people who I thought genuinely were going to receive a substantial increase. And our position at the party is that those are the individuals that require the increase. And no less a person than the opposition leader, Mr. Barajagio, former president, has indicated that our party will move and agitate and lobby as much as possible so that our public servants' salaries can be increased, so that sugar workers can receive their 20% that the current government promised to them, that rice farmers are going to also be receiving the types of benefits that were promised to them.
But coming back to the salary increase, and we'll talk a little bit about sugar workers, because I understand that the sugar workers struck today and they will be striking tomorrow and the following days.
3 days, yes.
For Gaisuko to just meet with their union to discuss wages and salaries. We know for a fact that during the end of the year, and normally they just meet before, like about half in the year, and they just conclude a package, so that sugar workers for the Christmas season and the other holidays, they can receive their money retroactively. But this time, however, this year, however, Gaisuko has not called the union as yet to discuss wages and salaries talks. So that we can talk about a little bit later. But I know for a fact, you're an MP like myself, and we know that on Wednesday evening, many person in our camp, in our MPs, discover that the parliament went and paid the salary to their account.
Yes.
And we were saying that we don't want the salary and the increased salary, and we are maintaining that we'll either give to charity or send it back to the treasury. But they imposed the salary increase on us, and they pay it in our account. That is one. But I understand, if you look at the standing order, that the order was supposed to go to Parliament first before any salary increase should have paid out to anybody, right? Is that what's your take on that?
The thing is, in addition to the salary increase being immoral, it is being uncaring. It is also being illegal, illegitimate. And I think that, like our opposition leader has said before, that we intend to pursue all actions that are going to ensure that this issue of the super salaries paid to the government officials, and even the cloak and dagger way that, like I've said, they've used to push the salary increases, and also to pay into our account, even though we have said quite openly and clearly that we are not accepting a salary increase. So they have gone ahead without our permission, without even a proper discussion in the Parliament on how this issue is going to be resolved, that they've gone ahead and pay us. Again, it is something that we have already said, that we are not going to accept the increase. The fact that it has already been paid into our accounts, we intend to refund the Parliament, and if that is as the first option, the second option will be to support charitable organizations within the country, especially for those that have been affected, or that the services that they provide, that such services which have been affected as a result of this new government. We have terrible things that are happening. Or pensioners, for example, they are now receiving, when you work out the dollar value of the increase, it is really less than 0.1% of an increase that pensioners are receiving. As a matter of fact, the $4,000 have been given to them, but the $30,000 subsidy that they receive for electricity and for water and other things, that has been removed.
But you want to say that the increase then to the pensioners, the old age pensioner, they gave almost $4,000 increase to the. It's nothing when you put in the water and the electricity subsidy. So the pensioner is at a disadvantage now.
Well, as a matter of fact, they're worse off. I think that they're I think there are 47,000, almost 47,000 pensioners in Guyana,
right,
who are all worse off. And and the government is totally, dismissive of any issue that affects our people.
So you mean that they say the reason they advanced that the treasury was empty, and that is why they cut out these subsidies to pensioners. What about the school grant of the $10,000?
That too, I think they raised the voucher by $500 and removed the $10,000 per child. So every child now is in effect $9,500 worse off. But it is not just the $9,500, because when I was growing up, we used to learn in school the saying, you're penny wise and pound foolish. So when you add all together, this is an economy by itself. The taxi drivers benefit, the minibus operators benefit, the snackets in the schools benefit, those who supply to those snackets benefit. So it is an economy that is being affected. And as we are on that issue, up to elections, we had this program called the Youth Entrepreneurship and Apprenticeship Program for Amerindians, who have been severely affected by what is going on. Almost 1,972 of them have been dismissed without explanation. They were being paid $30,000 per month as a stipend to live, to work, and to provide services within their villages. Nearly $720 million per year. This is an economy that is also being devastated within the hinterland.
Now, you mentioned about the young people in the hinterland, but there are a lot of other young professionals on the coast. Mm-hmm. There are other young professionals who the APNU, AFC, de facto government felt that these people has political affiliation to the opposition party, the PPP, and that is why they terminated their service. I want to raise an issue which I was told I haven't had the chance to speak to the young man as yet, but I was told a young professional right here in Region 6 who is a DREO. He was fired, his services were terminated, and I understand that they put in a 68-year man who is a PNC person, who is a APNU person, in that young man's position.
I actually happen to know of the issue.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I know the DREO personally because I was PS at the Ministry of Local Government for a few years when we had appointed him, or the government then had appointed him DREO of the region. He is a qualified individual first. He is a professional, but he has been sent on leave. The word in the field or on the road is that he's going to be replaced by the former mayor of New Amsterdam, or the current mayor of New Amsterdam. The current mayor, yeah. Who, of course, as you're aware, is way beyond 65, meaning that he's an old age pensioner. The REO of this region, a totally square peg and a round hole.
Well, as you're touching on that, let's talk about the REOs around the country. I think that in our government, in the PPP civic government, you could have looked around the whole country and look and see where we had a candidate as an REO. Paul Ramerton, who was a young professional, public service trade, qualified in England, he was an REO. He was the REO in Region 6. You had Mr. Ambikar, who was an REO in Region 5, and the list goes on. Now you have candidates who are REO who are not qualified to be REO. But the point is that the previous, or in our government, the REO used to earn $292,000 per month. I understand now that their salary will be, with benefits per month, will be close to $680,000.
Which also is similar to what the ministers have received.
The junior ministers.
The junior ministers. So this government is really working in an ad hoc basis. I don't think they have any systematic way of doing things.
Job for the boys.
That is because I'm not sure that they are aware of what their roles are. I think they're in government because, as the president said, these are men and the prime minister, that these are people who have come from the private sector, and you have to compensate them for the losses that they would have incurred being ministers of government. Similarly, the REOs are, many of them, if not all of them, have been on the APNU AFC list of candidates, whether it is at the MP level or at the regional level. And this is something that they have gone back on, because when, for example, like myself, when I was on the list of candidates for the PPP, but I had resigned as a permanent secretary. And so the president, I recall him having a meeting with the PSs and other officials of the government, saying that those who resign will not be allowed back on the job. So myself and others, we were not allowed back on the job because they wanted to professionalize the public service. But when you look around in the public service, all of the people who they have dismissed, they have infiltrated, and they have employed with party hats.
Yeah, I agree.
That is something that we really have to be careful of in Guyana, because, what about the young people of this country? Both parties, at least the party I support and I'm a member of and I'm a leader of, that we have always pushed young people in the upper echelons of government, including no less a person than the former president, Mr. Jagdeo.
But Nigel, coming back to the REO's position, I understand that for you to be an REO, you have to have at least a degree in management from the University of Guyana. I don't know these qualifications that this guy has, but for me, in Region 6, the man who is performing the function of as REO, I don't think he knows anything about administration in this region. I have spoken to both the regional and vice chairman, and when they tell you what this guy is doing for administration in Region 6, it's sickening. It's sickening because the point I am trying to make is that this guy was a talk show host in Berbice. You know that for a fact. He was a talk show host in Berbice. He used to be on television. He was bitter just after the government went into office because he didn't had a job. They offered him a job for $180,000, and he said that he can't work for that kind of money. Now they brought him back and they put him to be the REO in Region 6. As I said, as you rightly said, that political hacks, jobs for the boys. I think Mr. Harman described them as quasi political officials, right? And now they are increasing the salary for these guys because they are not professional public servants. They are candidates. They came out from the party and they have to give them back, pay them back now because they went around and campaigned for them.
Well, I think in addition to being qualified or having certain types of qualifications, I think you also have to be credible because it's state resources that you're dealing with. You're also overseeing, you're the accounting officer of billions of dollars. You're overseeing and you're responsible to a large extent for projects within communities, things that are going to affect my life, their life, and the regular person's life. So they must have some credibility, they must be accountable, and insofar as I'm aware from all the things that I've read about the REO of Region 6, including missives from within his own party, that he has not been a very accountable person. And I shudder to think what is going to happen in this region, because REOs, like you're aware, and for listeners and viewers, REOs are the accounting officer responsible for the entire budget of a specific region. So they are the ones who are also the chairpersons of the tender boards within the regions. So they can manipulate a lot of things. And I am worried that in Region 6 and then in Region 5, for example, just to let you know, that the REO of Region 5 was dismissed from the City Council. He was actually the treasurer of the City Council, the finance officer of the council, and was dismissed, and has now been brought back as an REO within one of our regions. And I think
there is that is more responsibility than the City Council.
Way more responsibility, and I think too, it is in control of a lot of money, and I really am worried. The thing is, what will happen is, our residents will have to be the vanguard of this democracy, and we have to ensure that at every count, the REOs and those officers who are responsible, that they are brought to book, and that every action that they engage in, that all of those actions must be transparent, they must be clear, and they must be at the benefit of our people. And I don't think any one of us will rest and should rest until we see a professional service, a competent service, and a credible service coming out of these people.
Well, I was reading something today, and they said that the new salary increase will cost the government $132 million every month. Now, not the $579,000 we talk about, but the increase from $579 to the sum they are receiving, the $10 million annually, the $20 million annually, the $8 million annually. That will amount to $132 million every month, and that will cost taxpayers in our country. And also the REOs, or the 10 REOs in the country, it will cost the Treasury or cost taxpayer another $140 million every month. So you could see that these guys, they went in there, they saw the funds, they saw the money, and they're just paying themselves.
Well, as a matter of fact, when we left government, we had a revenue stream of over $600 million per annum. We also left the Treasury with nearly 675 million US. We left commercial deposits in government agencies, in commercial banks. You recall there was this whole brouhaha about private accounts.
To put it in
yes,
consolidated
there was
fund.
In almost 60 billion Guyana dollars, which is what, close to 300 million US. So we left them in cash almost $1 billion. Revenue streams. So these people...
1 billion US.
Yes, 1 billion US,
Okay.
almost $1 billion US. And
That's 200 billion.
and what have they done so far? They're paying themselves. They have given 300 million to the City Council to clean up the council. Indeed, Georgetown needs a proper cleaning. I recall when we were in government that the mayor and city councillors were refusing to cooperate with the government, and at every moment they were stymieing any activity that we wanted to do to ensure that the towns across the country, that those towns were clean. And so the government is, all they're doing is spending, but we also have to be able to generate income. So if you spend all that you have, what is going to happen
Well,
in maybe 2-3 years? You know?
that's the point. But the point, the issue is, Nigel, we have, I think time is going, and viewers, you are looking on a live program here, at the live program in perspective. With me is my guest, Mr. Nigel Dharamlall, a young MP. And unlike the government now, when you look at them, you have almost every single one in the government, or 75% of them in the cabinet now, they are 65 years and over. So you get pensioners in the government, many pensioners. And when you look at our side, let us be very frank. The oldest person in the PPP civic side, I think, is the General Secretary, 65 years now, right? And Mr. Kamal Chan, who is a trade union and the president of GAU. But almost when you look around in the 32 MPs that the PPP has presently, I think that you have majority of those persons are below 50 years, right? You know, you could see the young and vibrant and dynamic and you know, youthfulness of these people. But Nigel, coming back, and we have to deal with some other issues too that are facing the people. I think when you look at the economy right now, it's stagnated. We are not getting any activity coming out. People are feeling the brunt of this this intended crisis that we are approaching. And you see crime went up, serious crime went up by 10%, rape went up by 19%, things like that. This government hasn't put in a program, as you rightly said, since they went in the office. The only thing they are putting is commission of inquiries and forensic audit. And our opposition leader, Comrade Barrett, said it all on Friday. Who did wrong, lock them up. Right? So they're going about talking about corruption. Let us find the people who are corrupt or who are corrupted and lock them up and put them in the hands of the laws. Don't say or talk about corruption, do it. But when you look at the other sector like rice and sugar, rice is in, the rice farmers now are feeling the brunt of the economic problem. Seeing that you was the chairman at one time of GRDB, we have lost the Venezuelan market, right? We have now lost Panama market and other countries' market. The Venezuelans are taking their rice now from Suriname. What you think is in store for the rice farmers as a farmer head of GRDB?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was chairman of the board for almost 6 years, up to June of 2012. And during my period was when President Jagdeo at that time had met with President Chavez and negotiated the Petro-Caribe deal. For those viewers who are interested in rice, as a matter of fact, all of us should be, because it's a national product. The rice industry has been earning up to $250 million US per year, one of the biggest industries in Guyana. Out of that, the Venezuela market alone was $130 million US. The prices have risen significantly for paddy. Farmers and investments have grown. The banking sector, the portfolio within rice has expanded. The spin-off benefits that accrue as a result of this $250 million that the rice industry has been generating has been tremendous. And what you find happening now, last week I was on the Essequibo Coast. Prior to that, I was way up in the North Pacaraima Mountains. And even up there, people are feeling the squeeze because of what is taking place as a result of the struggles that we now have in the rice market. But it is evident that the rice industry is going to face, and as they are facing consequences, it is going to get more difficult because the government has made it very clear. No less a person than Mr. Granger has said that the rice industry is in private hands, and the government, basically, you're not supposed to look for.
But in the campaign promises that they made in the 100-day plans that they had, they were talking about a rice farmer conference. That conference came off?
Well, they did. The conference actually came off, but I was on the Essequibo Coast 2 days before the end of the before election, and the AFC, APNU had a rally in Charity, where some of their leaders were speaking, and I went and I listened when they said that they were going to increase prices ranging from $6,000 to $9,000 per bag. I was there, so that is not a figment of anyone's imagination. That was said by the government. The conference that they did have, the popular thing that came out of the conference was that we should be producing rice flour.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, the days of rice flour has long gone.
We had a history of rice flour in this
As a matter of
country,
fact, when we were growing up in Borbis, you know, they had some terrible things about rice flour. I don't know if it is a word I can use on TV, but we used to call it wapya.
Yeah.
When the sides of your
white
mouth
white corner. But the other thing, let's move a little now because time going. Let's move a little to sugar.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen that the sugar worker, they said that they have struck today and they will be striking tomorrow and the following day, I understand. And they are now striking just for Gaisuko to meet with their union to discuss wages and salary. But I learned that there's an area over the coast where many sugar workers and perceived PPP support of living, where they are now removing the lights on the road or the street.
As a matter of fact, that is so true. The village that I'm very closely associated with, my mother is from Bad Settlement, and practically everyone there is associated with the sugar industry, and they have started to remove the street lights from within those areas. You know, life is about getting comfort. And that is what the PPP used to do, to make life comfortable, notwithstanding all the challenges that we had. But what this government is doing is increasing crime. Now that they've taken away the street lights. One of the reasons why we actually had installed street lights was to ensure that, you know, people felt more secure within their communities. Within a few months, that is one of their actions. And that is because, of course, as you said, they're sugar workers and they support the PPP, and so they're targeted. Going back to the strike, as you're aware, the government had given out of the budget almost 4.5 billion to the sugar industry, but they said that they're only going to be releasing it to the sugar industry after the completion of the Commission of Inquiry. That has been completed. The report was handed in late last week, I think Thursday or Friday. But we've gotten some ideas of what has come out of the report, or what is in the report, and they've basically spoken to privatizing the sugar industry, or privatizing some estates. And for all intents and purposes, you know, in the long run, that means that they're going to be closing sugar estates.
I see the phone line is going, and we'll be taking some calls, and we'll have an interaction with you. You're looking at in perspective, a live program where you can interact with members and leaders of the People's Progressive Party, members of Parliament. And last week we had Dr. Leslie Ramsamy. This week here we have Mr. Nigel Dharamlall, a young, bright Member of Parliament for the People's Progressive Party Civic. We understand that they are removing those lights, street lights in Bath. We understand also that in some area, the water, people are not getting water, right? And the pressure is very low and things like this. So, and people are becoming frustrated. People are becoming frustrated, and I think that we will have to help represent the issues of these people. As a matter of fact, when the present government was in opposition, they promised everything under the sun. Everything under the sun. You name it, they will do it, right? And as you rightly said, I was listening to that clip last night, what you said, talk about, and the Prime Minister now, Mr. Nagamoto, was talking about a first-class ticket could have taken water from the public road at whim to a turn you call Angoya turn. Well, the increase of in salaries, that could give the whole Borbis street lights. In every community, street lights. So these are the kind of hypocrisy these people...
As a matter of fact, in the 5 years, if they are to serve 5 years, the salaries alone and the allowances of these ministers, the 27 of them, will amount to almost $2.5 billion. That can do some amazing things in this country, other than just paying 27 people.
If you are out there, you are listening to In Perspective. We will be taking your calls. The number is on your screen. Let us be civil. Let us don't be personal. Let us deal with issues and show our facts. If you want to make a proposal, we will listen to it. And let us make this program a program that where viewers out there can have a discussion and interaction. If you want to criticize constructively and also give solution if you are criticizing certain things. We have a call on the air. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Welcome to this live program In Perspective.
Yes. Now you know and I know that all these problems were there before this new government take over.
Okay. Yes, you finish? That caller's finished. But I think that the caller made a point that all the problem was there or were there before this new government took over. But there are serious problems that started from May the 16th. The school uniform voucher, the school grant was there. The water and electricity subsidies for the pensioner were there. The salary for minister was low, right? Things like that were there all the time, but this government just abolished and abandoned it. What's your review on that?
Well, I think that the caller, I think, indeed problems, there are always problems in our lives, but it's how we deal with them.
That's fine.
And I think that this government, rather than dealing with our problems or addressing our problems, they're creating more problems for us.
Let's answer this call. Hello, caller. Welcome to this live program. Hello. Seems we have lost that call. Yes, Nigel.
Yes. So there are always problems, but how is it that we address these problems? You can't resolve the problem of a school child by taking away opportunities from them. You cannot resolve the problems of an old age pensioner by reducing the support that they used to have.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon to the
Welcome
panel.
to this live program.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I know you're talking about this government, but Barajak Bio increased his money whilst he was in government by 5 times. That wasn't sent to the people.
Okay.
Secondly,
But caller, just take a pen. I will give you a chance. If you is somebody contesting for a position, and whilst you are contesting for that position, the people them who is in that position was doing something wrong, would you go and do the same thing wrong?
it was
You just answer me that question. If what you are saying, that you're the perception you have that the former president increased his salary, and you know that was wrong, would you go and do the same thing or do worse than that? Let me hear you.
Let me answer you. Why would you come on television to defend your leader who
No,
did
man.
something
You got to get
morally
facts.
wrong, and you want to criticize other people?
Brother,
The position.
here.
Secondly, let me speak. Listen to
No,
me.
listen. You have to listen to.
You people run down their states.
No.
Who run down
Listen.
their states and
If you are not listening, I will cut you off, right? Listen to.
You run states.
No. You have to listen. Listen. The present government increased the minister's salary from $579 to $1 million per month. That is good.
Hello?
Yes, I'm asking you a question. The present government increased the present minister's salary from $579,000 to $1 million per month.
You're
Is that
playing
good?
rhetoric. Let me ask you, when Barajak do you do?
Comrade, I ask you a question, answer me. You just put more question. Okay. I think this caller just want to argue. We are not arguing. Let us make constructive criticism and also put solution to the problem.
Yeah, I think that what we have now is not making an excuse for doing what you're doing.
That's the point.
You know, so you can't be comparing yourself to the PPP because you have campaigned that the PPP has done so many things.
And you're doing the worst.
And you know, so that should not be the yardstick for you to.
Hello, good
to do
afternoon.
what you're doing.
Good afternoon to you, sir. I'm enjoying your program.
Thank you.
I like what you're telling the people. But I just want to make a few contributions.
Okay.
You were talking about qualifications. There is nobody here that the only qualification they have is being a barber and never went to high school. You still have a member of parliament who is like that right now. Secondly, you talk about corruption. I'm talking about Jeff, if you want to know.
He's not a no.
All right, let us don't call people name on this program, right, brother?
We're asking who, so I
No, I'm just was talking, but let me be
Right.
frank. Let me be frank with you.
Yeah,
We were talking, you as an individual,
yeah,
if you're a member of any political party.
I am not.
No, I'm just asking, just telling you hypothetically, that if you was a member of any political party, and the party picked you to be a candidate, and the party won that constituency, you could have been a member of parliament. I am now talking about public servant. Public servants has certain rules. You have to go through the Public Service Commission.
So it's only a
No. Listen to me. I agree what you are saying. I am now telling you about a politician different from a public servant. A public servant who is an REO, who is the highest public servant in the region.
No, I thought it was the chairman.
No.
That's the impression.
The chairman is not a public servant. The chairman is a political appointee. He's a political official. Let me tell you what. The PPP won this region, and the PPP elected Mr. David Armugan to be the regional chairman. That is a party nomination. But unlike Ramaya, the Public Service Commission has to go through an interview with a panel there, provide his qualification, and then being appointed. That we are talking about. A public servant is different from a political appointment.
Okay.
So if a man who never went to school, if a man was cutting cane in the background who never went to school or who never saw a school door, can be a member of parliament as long he was a candidate for a political party. But a public servant is different, and you tell me Ramaya's qualification, because a qualification for REO, you need a degree from the university in management or administration. Does he has those qualifications?
Maybe
Let us ask him. Yes, let me hear the second point, brother.
The second thing is, I prefer that the people raise their salary and don't take tax from the state in secret.
But let us look at that.
For example, the generator that was bought for Port Park Hospital, which you know where it is. All right?
Where?
You ain't know where?
No.
All right, after the investigation, you would know. Because I'm part of that investigation.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Good afternoon. Yes, Nigel. So this is a point that people trying to defend things that are wrong, right? Things that are wrong.
Well, you see, at the end of the day, right, what we have is a government in office, and we can only deal with what we have. I think the propaganda that the government still has is that they're in the campaign mode, and that is why they are going at great lengths to defend what they're doing.
Let's take this call. Caller, good afternoon. You are live on a live program here.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. I like your speech we given, and the guy who called the last guy, the black guy, right?
Yes.
You talk me wasting.
All right. Let us don't get so let us make it civil.
We don't know. We have a telephone, so we don't know what kind of person.
Right.
Let's deal with it.
So where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Albion. I like tomorrow.
Okay.
We have a big strike in Albion.
Okay. What you all be striking for? Wages?
Yes.
Okay.
We need Charlton to come down tomorrow with you that and show the people what the ALC and APNU government is doing.
Certainly, the PPP is going to be there with you.
Okay, no problem.
To let you know that we are behind our sugar workers at all costs.
Yes.
To ensure that they get a living wage and that they are compensated properly for all of the hard work. Almost the entire leadership of the PPP and most of our members came through the ranks of sugar workers. Yes, so, it is a personal issue for many of us as well. So, sugar workers can rest assured that the People's Progressive Party, Civic, and our leaders are going to be supportive.
Okay, thank you for your call, right?
Thanks.
Yeah, Nigel, we were talking about these things, and they're trying to justify. If the previous government was doing things wrong, now they are trying to justify that they should do these wrong things too.
Yeah, and which, for all intents and purposes, is what you call hypocritical. Yeah. So it's not because...
Let's take this call. Hello, caller, you're on air. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm just calling to say something. The guy that called just now.
Okay.
Right? Why he called? How he know that there is a black guy? Huh?
Well, that's why I told him, right? Because we don't know who calling. But that's why I told him to be very civil.
Like you cutting off the other, we should have cut him off.
We are not. No. I am not being cutting off people.
Anyway, that is very important to say.
Okay, thanks. Yes, Nigel. So we were talking about these things that they felt that are wrong, and they have to justify these things.
Because the extravagance now is so obvious that the people of the government are going to spare no effort to mask what they're doing, and the only way they can do so is saying that, okay, these other people are doing just as
Let's take this call. Hello, caller. Welcome to this live program.
Yes. Good
afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
Mustafa, I am neutral.
Yes.
But I want to be very factual with you that I'm one of the persons who voted for the change.
Okay.
Because I thought it was time for change. Yes, indeed. Y'all have to do better in the opposition because y'all were there as administrators and y'all know what is coming down. But what I want to say, between the political warfare, it is the people who are suffering. They understand me? We are being used as pawn. I'm disappointed that the coalition had to be raising the salaries for the ministers and junior ministers when we are barely surviving because they had been living. Even when y'all were there, y'all were living. Why I say y'all were living, y'all had a lot of allowances, a lot of duty-free concession and these manner of things. While the working classes never enjoy these things. You understand me?
But
so what I'm saying, y'all should put up a stronger opposition because y'all were there and y'all know what it was.
We will. But the point I want to ask you, Carlo, that you feel, and you was very honest enough to say what you voted for.
Yes.
But you feel the country is better off today than...
The country is not better off, you understand me?
Thanks very much.
Today, and it is impromptu for me to say that it is better off. But at the same time, we have to consider the people, right? So quickly, I want to tell you this. What ought to be happening is that our environment and the infrastructures, industrial sites and more employment and these things have to be for the people. And this is what y'all got to fight for because y'all know it.
Well,
especially the people in and around New Amsterdam.
Let me assure you, that we'll do that, we'll continue to do that, we have been doing that.
Yeah.
And let me assure you again, and tell you this one, and you will know this, that before May the 11th, we had a number of programs that could have taken care of the poor and vulnerable. As the MP said, Nigel, that we had problems, we had a lot of issues to deal with.
Yes.
But there were programs which were cut by this present government. You know that?
What I want to say is that it was wrong for them to take away from the poor and give to the rich. You understand? Unlike the English legend, Robin Hood, who used to rob from the rich and give to the poor.
All right, brother. Thanks very much for the call, right?
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I think, the caller has basically encapsulated exactly what is taking place. I mean, and I think that is how that is the type of conversation.
Let's take another call. Hello, caller. Good afternoon. Welcome to this live program.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would like to know the party's situation as to how they intend to address this issue, where they actually have their workers removing lights from the poles that was given to us prior to the elections.
Well, I just want to inform you that tomorrow I will be in West Berbice, going around into the communities that have been affected. Myself, I'll get some others to come with me, especially some of our leaders, including hopefully the regional chairman will be able to join with us and his team, and to meet with residents who have been affected, and we'll discuss with you on what strategies we'll be pursuing on the way forward to deal with this. But you're correct that those lights were installed as to build community spirit. It is similarly like, for example, what if we had built a road somewhere else? Are they going to go now dig up the road? Because we built it 2 weeks before elections.
Well, the caller, you listen to the MP there, he will be in Region 5 tomorrow.
It is extreme discrimination, and I think because what I believe in, what we all believe in is what Dr. Jagan has taught us, and that is ensuring that we fight for what we have, and what we have is something that could never be taken away, and that is a democratic spirit. And in living in a free world, a government should never be discriminating against its own people. A government should not be taking away opportunities from its people. A government should not be, whether it is a previous government or this government or in future governments, they cannot be taking away, the lifestyle of people. They cannot be devaluing what they met.
Okay. So Nigel, tomorrow you will be meeting with the residents in Region 5, but what action you all plan? What representation you all plan to...
well, we've already actually begun speaking at another level.
Let's take this call. Hello caller, good afternoon. Welcome to this live program.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening to you.
Yeah, I'm calling I love this program.
Okay, thank you.
And I love to listen to you all. And I think that those people who call in and say a lot of things about the PPP, they are fools.
All right, don't get it personal. Let us make it civil.
Okay.
Thank you very much for the call.
But just to let you know too, that it is because of the PPP that people have been able to express themselves, whether they support the PPP or not. And I think that is something that we got to be careful of now.
Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to this live program.
Good afternoon once again. I would like to know, give an answer to a question.
No, the MP said, listen, the MP said just now, he and other officials will be, party officials, will be in Region 5 to meet with the resident, and they will be going to GPL to make representation.
No, it's a different question I want to ask.
Okay. No, I was explaining the first question you asked, when he said that he'll be in Region 5 tomorrow.
All right. Mr. Jack, they would have made a statement at a occasion in front of Red House sometime on the 5th of October commemorating the election of the party to office back in 1992. He made a statement that the party has strategies besides the elections petition that they can move against this de facto government. He also said that the party can move a no confidence motion. Can you explain?
No, he was using that example in a context that, look, we have 32 seats. The government has 33 seats. He was saying that we can have a no confidence motion on the government if one of them voted with us. In that context, he was saying. But the two he mentioned about, it was the election petition, which is sure now, and very shortly it start to here in the courts already. And if not, the election petition don't succeed, then we'll have to ensure that we have electoral reform for the next 4.5 years, so that when we go back to the poll, the rigging can't happen.
But let us not rule out also a vote of no confidence, because the mere fact that the current government, the coalition, is in disarray, there's a good possibility that some of them probably will. They're so upset.
That is a possibility. So yes, Nigel, you want to give some more some more details to the Region 5 issue?
Yeah,
well, I think that is a very topical issue now. I saw on the social media, people are just.
I think that we've always believed, more so than ever before, that we have to speak to our people and get their advice and so forth. So,
hello, caller. Good afternoon. This will be our final call.
Yes, Mr. Mustafa. I just want to ask a question. I overheard the Prime Minister saying that because he's a lawyer, he should get a big salary, and so should the RU for the region. I just would like to ask a question: what qualification Ramaya has for that kind of position?
Well, I am just like you. I don't know what qualification he has, but the Prime Minister and other ministers of government was also saying that they are now making up for what they were earning before the election. As you rightly said, he's a lawyer and he got other lawyers in the government. But we are saying that if you are earning more than $1.7 million before the election, then let us get your income tax. How much tax you was paying before the election and how much money you was earning. So if we know how much tax they were paying, then we'll know the amount of money they were earning.
I think it's obvious that these guys only really went to government because of the perks and the opportunity and just to make money. The long and short of it is business for them.
So caller, thanks for the call, and this is our final call. You're looking at a live program in Perspective. This is a weekly program. We will have members of the People's Progressive Party, leaders from the People's Progressive Party, come into Region 6 and discuss with you. And I think that this was a very, very good program where we had a lot of proposal where people made some criticism, but I was somewhat disappointed that we had the criticism, but we didn't have the solution to it. But Nigel, seeing that we are on program time, your final bit.
Right, thank you very much, Mr. Mustafa, and I'm very happy to be back in Regions 5 and 6 to speak to our people, to encourage you, to ensure that, even whilst we're losing hope, that let us search for the silver lining. There are many opportunities moving forward. Hopefully the petition is going to be in our favor, and elections are going to be much earlier than 5 years. If not, then we have to ensure that we, in 20 when elections are due, that we retake our government. And even before that, I would like to encourage all of you to come out and support us. The local government elections are slated for sometime in between March and May of next year. So ensure that you are on the list. Make sure that you come out and support the People's Progressive Party. Make sure that we, there are 71 plus 4 additional, Lethem, Mabaruma, Bartika and Madhya, that the government has proposed to make into towns. So I hope that we are going to have an overwhelming majority in those local democratic organs, and so that our people can feel renewed confidence that the PPP is going to be moving forward and ensuring that come the next elections that we're going to be back in government.
Nigel, let me thank you very much for taking time off to come all the way to Berbice. I think that we have had a very good 1 hour program. I know for a fact that you're lamenting that the time was so short, so we got the 1 hour. But you're out there, let me thank you very much for looking and viewing this program. This is a weekly program live at Little Rock Television Studio from 5 to 6 p.m. every Sunday afternoon. And you'll be seeing and interacting with leaders from the People's Progressive Party, where you can discuss and also make proposals on some issues that are facing the country. So once again, thank you all very much, and a very good evening and a blessed Sunday evening to each and every one of you.